Are you planning a backpacking trip? Are you going for maybe a night or two, or maybe longer section hiking a long trail, or maybe planning a thru hike? In this video, I'm going to share with you how I packed my pack for a thru hike of the Appalachian Trail in 2025. And hoping that it helps somebody out there with the planning phase of your trip. I know it can be a little overwhelming, when you're planning to go backpacking and you've never done it before. I felt the same way, but along the way, I learned different techniques and different ways that I like to pack stuff in my bag. I think the important thing for me was knowing where everything was. But this is how I packed my bag. So a lot of people use pack liners. They'll put a contract bag or some pack liner inside their bag to keep their gear dry. I thought it was a pain in the butt, so I didn't use one. At first, whenever it rained, I would use I put my poncho over my pack. Not the best, that was also a pain in the butt, but that's just what I did. So first thing I put in my bag to keep the bottom dry is to put my tent footprint, and I started out with Tyvek. If you're using Tyvek, just put it in the wash a couple times and it'll soften it up before you head out. So I had Tyvek, I left it at a hostel, so I ended up getting this tarp. I think it's like 4x6, and it worked perfect. It's just a regular green tarp. So I put this in the bottom of my bag most of the time. Sometimes I put my rain jacket in the bottom just to keep things dry. So I'll put that in first. And then I put my sleeping bag in on top of that. I used a Thermarest mummy bag filled with down, and it's rated for about 20 degrees, which worked fine for me. On the colder nights, it was a little chilly, so I just layered up. So I put this in, and then I like to fill all the cracks and crevices with extra clothes, hat and gloves. Sometimes I'll put the bulkier clothes on the bottom, and what I like to do is keep everything in plastic bags. If it's not going to rain, it's not all in plastic bags, and I just stick the clothes in to fill in the gap. But you can have it in bags so your clothes don't get wet. And fill in, along the sides of the sleeping bag. This is my underwear and socks. So keep filling in the cracks and empty spaces as best you can. And then when I fill in around the sleeping bag, I put my food bag in. I like the way this all balances out. And then I'll put some more clothes on the side of that. I brought a lot of clothes. And then on top of that, I put my sleeping pad, which is a Thermarest Neo Air. I started out with something different. I started out with a Thermarest sleeping pad, but it was old and it got a leak, so I had to buy a new pad. You might find that you have to switch out gear along the way, or you have too much stuff and you send stuff back. So what you start out with is probably not what you're going to end up with, most likely. So I put my tent in next. I have a Durston X-Mid 1, which I really, really love. I put that in, and then these aren't the sandals I brought, but I like to put my sandals in, stick one on either side. Sometimes I hung them off the back of my pack too. One on either side. And I like to put my electronics in the top of my pack. I have two Nikkor 10,000 battery packs. I started with one, but I ended up getting a second one closer to the end. I get about 3 days worth of phone charge off of one battery. So I also keep my headlamp in this bag and all the cords that I need. So I put that in. I also like to keep my cooking pot and my fuel and my little stove is in here. I like to put that in the top. I like the way it balances out my pack. So once that's all packed up, I like to keep my puffy jacket for easy access. I like to keep it on the top or like stuck way down the sides. I love the way this packs in really tight. Or my fleece or keep my fleece on the top too. And then I also like to put all the food that I'm gonna eat for lunch right on the top so it's easy to access. And I always have a trash bag also right on the top. I use a smelly proof bag so it's not as stinky. And then once all that's in, put that on. And then, oops. It kind of looks like my organization at camp. I had stuff all over the place. So I put my head bag on the top. And if I didn't mention, this is a REI Flash 55 liter pack for a woman. I really like it. It is a couple pounds, maybe 3 pounds, but I really like it. So in my head bag, I have first aid kit with Band-Aids, moleskin, alcohol, lip balm. I brought, I guess you could call it luxury items, my mascara, a razor, and eye drops. I always keep my cup in my head bag, so I always know where it is, as well as my spork. Got my wallet. This thing is cool. My Advil, ibuprofen, acetaminophen, Advil PM, Benadryl. Liquid IV, my favorite electrolytes. Bug net. Have to have a bug net. In my opinion, the bugs in New England in the summer are horrible. So bug net, toothbrush, toothpaste, an extra carabiner, odds and ends, hair clip, earplugs, dental floss. The thing I like about this head bag is that I can loosen the straps and put stuff underneath it. So if I want quick access to a rain jacket, poncho, I can stick it up under here, and then if I need it, just pull it out. It's very convenient. So in this big back pocket, I like to carry my toiletries. I brought a little container of coconut oil, brought a little container of hair conditioner. Sometimes the hostels don't have hair conditioner, or I don't know, my hair got so tangled, so I was glad to have that. And I brought some deodorant and some Castile soap. I think I ditched most of that by the end. By the time I was in Maine, I stopped caring about personal hygiene. No, not really, just kidding. So in that back pocket goes that. I brought an umbrella. I put my umbrella in there. And my paracord with a carabiner on it for hanging my food bag. But I would suggest having that in the bag so it doesn't get tangled. And then I eventually got a pack cover. So sometimes I'll use this bag for the pack cover as like to put a rock in so I can hang my food bag. So the rock gives some weight to throw the cord over the tree. Okay. And then on one side, I put my little pad. This thing is great, $11. It's so convenient to have something to sit on if it's wet or dirty or whatever. I put that in one of my side pockets. I got some hand warmers. So on this side, I put my water filter. I used a Sawyer squeeze, which worked perfectly the whole time. I got my Sawyer squeeze. I have my CNOC 2-liter water bag. I also put my digging trowel in here. I had that in the bag though too. This goes with the water filter to clean it. And I like to put my tent stakes in this bag so I always know where they are. In the belt pocket, I kept a Swiss Army knife, which I used quite a bit, and pepper spray, which I didn't use at all, thank goodness. I'll also put my snacks that I'm gonna eat for the day in those front pockets. I almost forgot about one of my favorite pieces of gear, the pea style. I kept that in the pouch where I kept my water bottles. So the last thing is the water bottles. I carried 2 1-liter smart water bottles. There was a point in time where I only used one, but if it's gonna be dry or not a lot of water sources, 2 liters is the recommended amount to take. So I also carried one of these. It's a microfiber towel that I use to wipe off my tent if it was wet. I used it, for general cleaning of my gear, and sometimes I hung it on the outside of my pack, sometimes I put it in. And then this little towel was my personal washing towel, which I really like. And then this was hanging off the strap of my pack for blowing and wiping my nose while I was hiking. My nose always runs when I hike. What is that? Put that away. So that is everything. And my full pack, packed like this with food and water, probably weighs around 35 pounds. The base weight without food and water is probably around 24 pounds, I'd guess. I haven't weighed it for a long time and I forget, but happy backpacking. Subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos about hiking the Appalachian Trail. Thanks for watching.